Put on your nostalgia goggles for this one, because we're going to be talking about Tyler Motte. A lot of Vancouver fans are going to be tuning into this video, and a lot of Rangers fans probably will as well. Let's go over one of the most, I hate saying it like this, but let's go over one of the more minor trades of the NHL trade deadline, when the Vancouver Canucks traded away Tyler Motte, an expiring UFA-to-be, so a pending free agent, in exchange for a measly, small, insignificant 4th-round pick. Now, the reason I described it like that is because 4th-round picks, come on, what are the odds that a 4th-round pick makes it to the NHL? It's not really all too high. You'll be lucky to find a player that suits up in any form of NHL action in the 4th round, but at the end of the day, draft picks are lottery tickets, and everybody kind of understands that. Everybody kind of knows that there are potential steals you can get in drafts, and so for the Vancouver Canucks, this is ultimately a lottery ticket for the rights to an expiring Tyler Motte, who was a very impactful and very important player to the Vancouver Canucks, but who was kind of in that territory where if he asked for $2-point-something million for next season, a lot of Canucks fans would not really feel comfortable giving up that amount of money. Motte, despite the fact, though, was beloved by this organization. You saw how he came over initially. There was the Thomas Vanek trade back in 2018, where Jim Benning traded Vanek away to the Blue Jackets in exchange for Motte, as well as Jussi Jokinen of all people. And a lot of Canucks fans, myself included, back when this trade was made, were saying things like, why the hell did Jim Benning not get a draft pick for Thomas Vanek? This guy signed on to Vancouver for free. He's coming over here. He helped Besser become the rookie goal-scoring sensation that he was, and now he's gone for 2 regular dudes? Okay, Jokinen was not bad, actually, in a Vancouver Canucks uniform, oddly enough. He actually was pretty productive, but he expired that year, so it didn't really matter. And then you had Tyler Motte, this young guy who had played in the Chicago system, who had played in the Blue Jacket system, who wasn't really used all too well, and who didn't really project to being anything too special. And a lot of Canucks fans are like, okay, who's this? Come on, why do we get this guy? Give us a draft pick, Benning, come on. And give it a few years, and Tyler Motte eventually showed off to everybody in Vancouver Canucks Nation that he was an important, valuable player, one of the most impactful forwards the team has had in their bottom 6 in years. He just had that heart and soul to him. He always would go at 100%. He never quit on a play. He would always be willing to forecheck, always be willing to block shots, always be willing to make the smart plays on the penalty kill as well. He was so positionally sound, and he helped the team out in a panoply of ways, not to mention the fact that when the playoffs came around in 2020 in the bubble, Tyler Motte scored some really clutch goals. He single-handedly won the Vancouver Canucks a game against the St. Louis Blues in the first round, and he scored some beautiful short-handed goals too that were just so important to the success of that 2020 team. Now, he only had 16 points in 74 games as a high for Vancouver, but he actually did reach that in his limited sample size in this season, too. He had 15 points in 49 games with the Canucks in 2021-2022. He was playing probably the best hockey of his life. But the entire issue of the contract extension brought itself up because he was only making $1.225 million. He's 27 years old and he's in his prime. With all the rumors coming about that he could probably ask for something in the $2-point-something million plus range for 4 years, it made a lot of Canucks fans worry that, okay, Motte is good, and we understand that this is the best that he's ever played, so he probably deserves to get that money, but can the Vancouver Canucks realistically afford to do that? Can they say, okay, here, $2-point-something million, here's another extended contract with term for a bottom 6 player? The last time they did that, it was with Louis Eriksson, it was with Jay Beagle, it was with Rosén. Motte's better than these guys, but Motte is still just a bottom 6 player. And so if you could not agree on a contract extension that worked with the vision the Vancouver Canucks had, you had to trade this guy. And that's what they did. They traded him to the Rangers for a 4th-round pick, and immediately I saw people on Twitter in the first game Motte played saying, wow, look at this guy on the penalty kill. That's a good player right there. He's taking the puck into the offensive zone, he's forechecking on the PK, and then he's sending it back to his D in order to kill time. That is an elite penalty killer right there. He works so hard, and I'll be honest, even though he had 0 points in 9 games, you look at the stats and you say, wow, What happened to this dude? 0 points? No, that's not the story here, man. Because in the 9th game that Tyler Motte played for the Rangers against the Pittsburgh Penguins, he took a hit. And he was swooping down a little bit low, trying to sweep the puck forward. And while he was in that motion of reaching for the puck, all of a sudden there's a big shoulder coming up here and hitting him in what looked to be the shoulder area, sort of the head. Tyler Motte goes down, and eventually he skates off, but he's drooping his arm, and you could definitely see that he's in a lot of discomfort. Eventually, it was realized here from the few updates that we had on Twitter. Not sounding good for Motte, significant upper body injury, no timetable for return. The injury was not on his head. This was 2 days ago, and just looking at some of the replies, you can see why, firstly, I feel so bad for Rangers fans, but secondly, why I feel so bad for Tyler Motte too. Here's the first reply on the tweet. Welp, there goes a really good 4th line and penalty kill, a great addition now out of the playoffs. Here are the Reddit comments on the same thread. Sucks. He was a great penalty killer, maybe our best penalty killer, and he brought more speed to the 4th line than we have had in years. Man, this is unfortunate. He was bringing a lot to the 4th line in the penalty kill. Hopefully Rooney is good to go soon. There's some speculation about it being for his shoulder or his collarbone, and pretty much the entire response from the Rangers fan base is telling me right here, you saw it. You saw what made Tyler Motte so good that it was so much more than just the points or the 5v5 advanced analytic Corsi, etc. It was just, when you watch Tyler Motte do what it is that he is told to do, he does a darn good job at that. And that was immediately one of the sentiments that I saw from Rangers fans as well from the first game. Oh, this is why Canucks fans liked Tyler Motte so much. This is why nobody had a bad thing to say about this guy. Because he's such an honest, hard-working player that you can't help but cheer for players that do what he does. And now that's gone. Now it's gone because Angelo came in here and completely took out his shoulder/collarbone. So whatever New York-Pittsburgh matchup we inevitably see in this year's postseason, if it even goes down that way, then Angelo, is that a bell I hear? You gotta answer the bell. Ryan Reeves has your number, I think. But either way, I'm pissed off as a Canucks fan to see this go down. As a fan of the player Tyler Motte is talking to the team fan base that Tyler Motte is now a part of, once Tyler Motte plays in the playoffs, like, the guy becomes an absolute monster. Like, I don't know if my memory is failing me, but there were some games in the 2020 bubble for Vancouver where it genuinely felt like Tyler Motte owned the period. Like, the Canucks just have a few of those guys. Like Bo, he unlocks a new gear when the postseason starts. He starts scoring every other game. Sometimes 2 beautiful dangle goals in a game, and Tyler Motte is another one of these guys. Sure, he only had 4 goals. Okay, I get that. 4 goals in the postseason for Vancouver in 17 games. But he doesn't need to be scoring goals to be effective. The goals are just icing on the cake. It just happened to be that Motte's goals were all super exciting. They were breakaways. Some of them were shorthanded, and they made Canucks fans leave those playoffs with some very strong, impactful memories. So, Tyler Motte, darn it, man. Seeing him get removed from the Rangers in their bottom 6, it hurts my soul. It really does. And for Rangers fans out there, if you guys go deep and you see Tyler Motte come back, I want a standing ovation for that guy. Because I think a lot of people already recognize just the impact that he has on the team. You are better with a Tyler Motte in your lineup, and the Vancouver Canucks, look, I mean, once Tyler Motte was removed from the lineup, and once Matthew Highmore got injured, Juho Lammikko has been pretty useless ever since then. Sure, they've had some good performances from guys like Chason, and Podkolzin has looked really good in a bigger role, but, like, still, Tyler Motte's absence leaves a hole on this team that is tough to fill. And I wanted to make this video to talk about that a bit more and expand as to why the Rangers fans should be, very justifiably, frustrated with his loss. So, talk to me in the comments all your thoughts about Tyler Motte in this video over here. Do you think he comes back? Do you think there's going to be a diagnosis revealed soon? Because we didn't have that yet. It's just up in the air as to whatever it is that he's suffering with. Shoulder, collarbone, whatever. Recovery time, we don't really know. But the Rangers said it, man. Significant upper body injury. I just hope he's able to play again, right? For the Rangers' sake, because they traded away a pick for this guy. And for Tyler Motte's sake as well, because this is the best team that he's been playing on the entire past few years he's been in Vancouver, Columbus, and Chicago. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you enjoyed this video. And bye.